Breaking overnight, chaos on the block after someone is shot during a bar close. What we know so far. And we are tracking the tropics today as a major storm potential impacting our region. It's heading towards Florida, but before that, you'll need your umbrellas today because our next weather maker is arriving. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax standing by with your full forecast. And did you see this? A night show across our region and the East Coast. We'll tell you what was moving across our skies last night. Oh yeah, and the Ravens are in New England as they hope to bounce back from a Week 2 collapse. The last-minute changes ahead of this afternoon's game.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning, you guys. I'm Taylor Stewart. We want to jump right into that breaking news from overnight. Chaos breaking out on the block after someone is shot. The shooting happening just steps away from police headquarters. You're looking at video from citizens we heard about the incident around 2 o'clock last night. Now, this was happening just as bars were closing. We're waiting for more details from police on exactly what happened leading up to the shooting. Also, breaking overnight, Baltimore County Police warning the public to be on the lookout for this guy. He's 46-year-old Rainer Whitaker. Police say they're concerned about his well-being, but they say he may be armed with a handgun. They didn't provide any additional details as to why they're looking for him, but Rainer was last seen yesterday around noon in the Pikesville area. They're asking folks to be on the lookout for a white Lexus with the license plate you see on your screen there. They say he may have a handgun, so don't approach. Instead, call police. Alrighty, we are tracking the tropics for you this morning. On your left, Hurricane Fiona continues to leave a destructive path, this time to Canada. Right now, tens of thousands of people in Puerto Rico are still without electricity. And on your right there, a state of emergency declared in Florida as the Sunshine State braces for its first major storm of the season. Right now, we're keeping an eye on Ian and its possible impact on our region. But first, we're preparing for the next weather maker here in our area. You're looking at live conditions in Ocean City, Baltimore, and Towson. Looking pretty good there this morning. Actually, very gorgeous. You see that sunrise over Towson. But you will need some umbrellas this afternoon. Keep them close. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is with us early this morning. Jasmine, good morning. We may have to dodge some rain today.
Yeah, good morning. Unfortunately, that nice dry weather that we had to start the weekend is coming to an end as the next weather maker arrives. We've got a warm front that's passing over the state. You can see a little bit of rain approaching central Pennsylvania. It doesn't reach far enough south for us to start the day with rain, but we're keeping watch on this cold front. That will be our next weather maker, and it'll lead to that chance for rain as we head into the afternoon. So if you have plans to be outside, you will want to get those done before noon. It's absolutely beautiful outside. Here's a look over Towson. The sun is starting to rise. 57 for the current temperature with calm winds. A very nice start to the day, but again, that rain is coming. Across the state, most of us are seeing those temperatures in the 50s, a few spots in the 60s, but we're actually heading to the 80s as we head into the afternoon. Temperatures will be slightly above average, but once the rain moves in, those numbers do start to fall. We're looking at another cool night, but then tomorrow we're back to the dry pattern. I'll break down the timing of the rain and what you can expect for the rest of the week coming up in my Weather Authority forecast. Back to you.
Make sure to keep our Weather App Authority close to you today. You want to see how powerful that Doppler radar comes in when that rain and severe weather is coming. Now, it's free. You use on your smartphone. Just go to that app store, search WBFF, and you can get started. Making headlines this morning, police say a gun was stolen from a security guard yesterday afternoon in downtown. Police tell Fox 45 News two young people, took the gun from a uniformed guard's holster right around 4:30 in the afternoon. This was on East Fayette Street, right where City Hall is located. It happened while the Charm City Live Music Festival was taking place. Police say both suspects got away. And in Baltimore County, police are revealing details about an 83-year-old man who was the victim of an armed carjacking on Tuesday. This all happening in Pikesville. According to police, the carjacking happened at the intersection of Slade Avenue and Reisterstown Road. Police say the man was pulled from his car and threatened with a gun before his vehicle was stolen. 83 years old, only suffered non-life-threatening injuries, thankfully, and did not have to go to the hospital. But there is no information on the suspects this morning. Baltimore County Police say they're looking into this. If you have any information, give them a call. There have been a series of violent carjackings throughout Baltimore County this year. In May, there were 3 teenagers arrested for a carjacking in the parking garage of the Towson Town Center. It was the second carjacking in the mall's parking garage in just 2 months, leaving many shoppers on edge. And then again in June, 3 teenagers arrested for a carjacking in the Lansing area, according to police. 2 of the suspects were just 14 years old, the other only 15, and all were from Baltimore City. Johns Hopkins University will hold 2 more public safety hearings talking about whether or not to have a police force on campus. It's the first town hall on Thursday was forced online after protesters created quite a bit of chaos. Supporters say the new police department is needed as the Baltimore Police Department sees a staffing shortage and crime at the university's 3 campuses rising, especially at its East Baltimore campus. BPD is skeptical, though, saying its officers would still have to assist in investigating crimes on campus. Fox 45 News questioned Mayor Brandon Scott about whether he will sign off on the plan or block it. He didn't directly answer our questions.
I think that we've seen these protests happen the entire time, and really it's up to Hopkins to understand what their entire community wants and make a decision on whether they want to move forward or not. But what I will say is that when you think about universities around the city, including Coppin and Morgan, they have police forces. We know that University of Baltimore has a police force, UMD. Most colleges do have that.
Johns Hopkins University first tried to create its own police department back in 2020. It was put on pause because of the protests surrounding George Floyd's death. GHU is moving forward with that plan for now. Oh, this is so cool. Did you see this light across the sky last night? Oh my gosh, we know what it is, and we'll tell you coming up. Your tax dollars paying for city school nurses who aren't being hired? Fox 45 News Project Baltimore questions where that money is being spent. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Oh my gosh, did you see a light in the sky last night? Now, if you looked up and saw a mysterious light, you were not alone. Social media was erupting over these pictures we saw overnight, that light barreling through the dark sky. It was seen across our region, and we know the reason wasn't an UFO, but boy, doesn't it look like it a little bit? The light was from a rocket launch. SpaceX says a Falcon 9 rocket with 52 Starlink satellites was launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida around 7:30 p.m. Clear skies provided a great view for many in the region and along the East Coast. Now let's just take a look at some of the posts we're seeing on social media. One viewer, Peter here, saying, look at that spectacular sunset colors with this SpaceX Starlink rocket. And just look at that picture, guys. Look at that. Let's go ahead. This is from Gordonsville, Virginia, by the way. So if you captured the rocket in our region, you also saw some other pictures like these. Tonight's SpaceX launch seen from Maryland, looking awesome there as well. And another person saying, I saw this earlier too. I thought it was just a plane, but I knew it was something different. I'm sure many folks probably thought it was a UFO, but good to know that was definitely a SpaceX rocket, looking very cool there. But if you capture any pictures, UFOs, rockets in our region, we want to see it. Go to our website, foxbaltimore.com/chime-in, and we'll be sharing those pictures and videos right here. In other space-related news, the launch of the Artemis rocket has been delayed again, this time due to Tropical Storm Ian. NASA told its crew to stand down this morning. A weather forecast had pegged against the chance of favorable weather conditions for Tuesday's planned launch, just 20%. NASA says it hasn't decided yet whether it will take the spacecraft off the launch pad during the storm. This is the third delay for the rocket launch. NASA hasn't rescheduled another launch yet. Can you feel it? After last weekend's home opener, that didn't go so well for the Ravens. We're cheering them on as a team as they take on New England today, this afternoon. And of course, you can watch it here on Fox 45. Heading into the game, we know All-Pro left tackle Ronnie Stanley did not make the trip to Massachusetts. That's because Stanley, who is coming off an ankle injury, has been downgraded to out and will not play. The 28-year-old former first-round pick practiced Wednesday and Thursday in limited fashion, but he did not participate on Friday. That means Patrick McCarry will likely get the start at left tackle for the second straight week. And the Ravens have elevated wide receiver Raleigh Webb and linebacker Brandon Copeland from the practice squad. Webb was an undrafted rookie from the Citadel, Hope Copeland. The former Gilman standout is in his second stint with the Ravens. This video right here, you're seeing back from 2013. Looking for improvement there on the field today. But of course, you can watch this game here on Fox 45 this afternoon. Probably a great idea to do it from your couch, considering it's an away game and the weather. But of course, we'll have more on this later today. Rocco Toronto will have more on your sports wrap-up just ahead. All right, taxpayer dollars sent to North Avenue to pay for city school nurses, but they're not being hired. Project Baltimore investigates where that money is going. And be sure to grab your umbrellas. Gorgeous out there right now, but we are tracking our next weather maker. Coming into our region today. Jasmine Lomax has the latest forecast and timing it out for you just ahead here on Fox 45.
Project Baltimore is sponsored by the Snyder Law Group. Call 410 the Firm.
Another scandal could be forming in Baltimore City schools as tens of millions of taxpayer dollars are going to North Avenue to provide a full-time health care practitioner at all high schools, all Providence high schools. Now, City Schools is keeping that money, though, as Project Baltimore's Crip Pass explains. It appears the health care coverage is not being provided.
Glenn Carmen has been a licensed registered nurse his entire adult life, 42 years. And now, for the first time, he's scared about student safety.
Do you feel it's just a matter of time before something bad happens?
Absolutely.
Carmen works for the Baltimore City Health Department, which supplies nurses for Baltimore City Public Schools. For the past 5 years, Carmen, like most nurses, has cared for students at one school. But this year, he's been assigned to 3 schools. Each day, he rotates between 2 on East 43rd Street and 1 on West 36th Street, which is 15 minutes away.
This is the first time I'm uncomfortable. You know, if I'm at one side of town and I have to get to the other side of town, it's going to take me 15 minutes. A lot changes within 15 minutes in an emergency. It could be the matter of life and death, just that time.
Project Baltimore has obtained the schedules for 12 other nurses. Each one is assigned to 3 schools. Most are high poverty. And Carmen says this is not just about student safety.
Right.
It's about state law.
You believe the law is being broken?
I know the law is being broken.
The Blueprint for Maryland's Future, also known as the Kirwan Plan, was passed by Maryland's legislature in 2021. Under Kirwan, schools with high concentrations of poverty shall provide full-time coverage by at least one professional health care practitioner who is a licensed physician, a licensed physician's assistant, or a licensed registered nurse. Baltimore City has 121 high-poverty schools. According to the City Health Department, 89 of them are staffed with a certified nursing assistant, not a professional health care practitioner, as defined under Kirwan. City Schools told us a national nursing shortage has made this challenging. To provide the coverage required by Kirwan, registered nurses, like Carmen, are rotating between schools.
Emergencies are being covered by the nursing assistant, but they're not being trained for those adequately.
City schools this year received $32 million from the Kirwan Plan's Concentration of Poverty Grant to ensure schools have licensed health care providers. The Maryland State Department of Education told FOX45, Kirwan does not require schools to hire a licensed health care provider, meaning they don't have to have one on staff, but someone must be available to provide full-time coverage at every school. The district took the money, but 89 schools do not have a licensed registered nurse at all times. So is this a violation of the Kirwan Plan? To find out, we asked Britt Kirwan.
In this country, low-income people don't have access to health care that more affluent families do have.
Kirwan told FOX45 the licensed nurse provision in the law is essential to learning.
We thought that by ensuring that there was highly qualified health care deliverers in each school, we could mitigate the disadvantage that low-income kids have.
Project Baltimore contacted the 5 school systems that surround Baltimore City. Each one reports having a licensed nurse assigned to each high-poverty school. The question then becomes, does a registered nurse who splits time between several city schools equal full-time coverage? The law is not clear. But if City Schools is not meeting the health provider expectations, Kirwan says a district will have to produce a compelling reason why, or the state could withhold funding.
It's concerning because we we deem that as a very important aspect of these concentration of poverty grants. I have to take on faith that they are doing everything they can to get qualified health care providers in each school.
They're accepting the money. They're not providing the service. I'll be honest to you, the law is the law. You're correct. But until you're caught, until you're punished, doesn't stop you from doing it.
So Baltimore City Schools received $32 million to hire licensed healthcare providers at high-poverty schools. If they didn't use the money to hire nurses, then where did the money go? Well, City Schools told us they used the excess funds to meet other student needs, but that may also be a violation of Kerwin. According to the law, the school system cannot spend the extra funds until a full-time licensed healthcare provider is at every high-poverty school. But again, the law does not define what full-time means. Now, coming up on Monday, Project Baltimore will have more with our interview with Britt Kerwin. We ask him about the teacher shortages, the effects of COVID, and what would have to happen for the Kerwin plan to be considered a success. That story, Monday at 10. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
We are getting ready for our next weather maker, and that will lead to the chance for rain, and it could ruin some of your Sunday plans, but we're off to a great start. Currently, we're sitting at 57 over Towson, and the sun is starting to rise. Very beautiful in the background, but it is mostly cloudy. That's all in preparation for that weather maker. Otherwise, it's calm here and around the state. We're seeing temperatures mainly in the 50s and 60s. Bel Air at 61. That is the high spot on the map. We also have 60 in Chestertown and in Annapolis, but the rest of us are looking at a nice warm up too as we head into the afternoon. Now, we have a warm front that's moving over the state. There is a little bit of rain associated with that, and it did lead to a few showers earlier this morning. Now most of us are dry, and we're watching this cold front. That will bring our next chance for showers and possibly a few storms coming this afternoon. Notice as we continue to about 11-12, we're still looking at mostly dry, mostly cloudy skies. You can start to see a few areas of green move into the screen from the west. That's that rain. So around 2-3 o'clock, we are talking the chance for areas of heavy rain. We get a temporary break from that, but the rain quickly returns. This is all ahead of a cold front. Again, there could be areas of heavy rain, so if you have plans to be outside, you may want to move those plans indoors. That front continues to move over the state, and as that happens, the rain starts to clear and push to the east. We are looking at mostly dry conditions after midnight. The clouds clear, and by Monday morning, expect plenty of sunshine and a great start to the work week. Temperatures will remain in the upper 70s. Of course, we're also keeping watch on Tropical Storm Ian. That system has maximum sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, but we expect it to continue to strengthen as it moves toward the west-northwest. Notice we do expect this to become a Category 1 hurricane as we head into late tonight into early tomorrow morning. Then that continues to move toward Cuba, possibly becoming a major Category 3 hurricane. But as it enters the Gulf, we're expecting it to further strengthen into a Category 4 hurricane, possibly with max sustained winds of around 130 miles per hour. But there is a little bit of good news. We're looking at wind shear. That means a hostile environment for development as this system approaches the Florida coastline. So it will start to weaken, possibly into a Category 1 at landfall. But this still could lead to significant impacts for parts of the Florida Panhandle and parts of southern Florida as well. It's too early to say if we'll have any impacts from this system, but we will continue to keep our eyes on it. We're starting to gain some clarity on where exactly it could make landfall. Once that happens, we'll have better clarity on where it goes after that. Today, though, we have our own rain to deal with as a cold front approaches. Temperature is in the 60s around 8 a.m. Then we quickly reach the 70s by midday. Highs will top off right around 80, keeping us above average. But as we head into the evening and night, those temperatures do start to fall. Tomorrow, we're looking at temperatures back to the 70s, and it will be a little bit breezy but dry and sunny. Then those numbers do start to fall. 74 as we head into Tuesday, 70 on Wednesday, 69 on Thursday. Then as we finish out the week, temperatures remain below average. Back to you.
A wild case of suspected financial fraud targets a Rhode Island man. He says someone stole his identity, then bought a car in his name, it turns out, but he's not alone. But first, how the Bel Air community is remembering one of its own. You're watching Fox 45 News all morning, all local. The Bel Air community is remembering one of its own. Tom Powell spent 41 years working as a mail carrier in Bel Air and touched many residents' lives. He recently passed away. 50 mail trucks drove by his house yesterday to honor his life and career.
I think everybody has a story with Tom. Just had a lot of impact on people.
He just brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. His customers love him so much on his route.
I mean, he really went out of his way for his customers. He was always there for them, picking up things at the grocery store for them, whatever they would need. And, you know, you never got to complain about him.
He was awesome. Always had a smile or a joke or something. You know, it was just like, hey, every morning come in the dock, hey, Robbo, what's going on? You know, he's just excited all the time.
Wow, Harford County Police blocked the intersection where the mail trucks passed so they could all get through together.
Tens of billions of dollars of fraud in pandemic unemployment programs. I'm Atrell Nashar with why government watchdogs say that's just the tip of the iceberg.
And we are tracking your rain for Sunday. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax with the timing. Just ahead, you're watching Fox 45 News all morning, all local.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning, and thank you for being here on this gorgeous Sunday morning. M&T Bank Stadium today, but it'll be empty because they are playing an away game, the Ravens. But good morning here. I'm Taylor Stewart, and this is Sunday, September 25th. We are tracking some weather makers. It's going to rain here in this region, isn't it, Jasmine?
Yeah, that's right, Taylor. We've got our next chance for rain, and really we had a great weekend, so we can't complain too much. But that nice and dry weather is coming to an end this afternoon. We're starting off, though, with dry weather right now. Temperatures currently sit at 57 with nice and calm winds and mostly cloudy skies. Notice, though, earlier on we actually had a few isolated showers move across parts of the state. That was because of a warm front. That warm front's continuing to lift north, but now we're watching the cold front. That will lead to our next chance for rain this afternoon. So if you have any plans to be outside, you will want to get those done before the afternoon because we've got heavy rain coming our way as that cold front pushes across the state. Otherwise, we're seeing temperatures this morning in the 50s and the 60s, but we're looking at highs approaching the 80s. I'll let you know when we finally dry out and when to expect lower temperatures coming up in my full forecast. Back to you.
Breaking news from overnight. Chaos breaking out on the block after someone was shot. The shooting happening just steps away from the police department. On your right there, you're looking at video from residents who were in the area. Now, we heard about this around 2 a.m. That's where bars were closing. We're waiting for more details from police on exactly what led up to the shooting. But confusion and frustration emerges from Baltimore City Hall following the restructuring announcement of the violence intervention program, Safe Streets. City activist and pastor Shannon Wright joins us this morning. Good morning, Pastor Wright. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Good to be here. Thank you.
Now, what is your take from this restructuring of Safe Streets? What do you think will happen going forward now that we've shifted hands in leadership?
So it's interesting. We've had the shift, which is great. Well, whether it's great or not is yet to be seen. But the way the shift was done, the fact that Mayor Scott did not take any partners with regards to city council president or city council, again shows unilateral movement from the mayor that is not necessarily best practices, nor is it taking a partner, nor is it transparency, nor is it a great communication style, which unfortunately is a pattern for Mayor Scott. My hope is that these contracts will be put out in a way where there is a space for public understanding beforehand, before they become signed. The mayor does not have the best track record in negotiating these kinds of things and sometimes gets the city stuck.
And in respect to what you're saying about having to see how this all plays out, we do know that they did shift leadership, and now going forward, we should expect more transparency. How do you think that his administration could do that for us?
Well, in order for Mayor Scott's administration to really provide transparency, he'd have to be willing to be honest. He'd have to be able to include and willing to include the residents of the city in his decision-making process, letting us know, listen, this is the direction we're going. This is how we're trying to get there. It may be a bumpy road, but this is what we're doing. But if he doesn't even include the other parts, the other branches of city government, I have no hope that he's going to include the residents and the voters. This week, with the issue with the rat or the rodent at the healthcare center, and he said, well, it's not the same one. Okay. First of all, how does he know whether or not it's the same one? Second of all, the fact that it's an ongoing problem that was brought to the city's attention that still persists is a problem. And communication, once again, regarding a different agency in the city is back in the spotlight because of the mayor's poor leadership.
Understood. Catholic Charities, as well as I'm looking at this other one, LifeBridge Health Center for Hope, will be helping take over Safe Streets at this point. Do you expect that maybe we'll get more transparency from the partners?
I'm hoping so. There are organizations that have run their own facilities for quite some time. They've been visible and have a footprint in the city. And my hope is that their experience puts them in a place where they do have strong leadership capabilities and strong communication capabilities and the willingness to be transparent.
Well, Shannon, you and I here at Fox 5 will keep on that and make sure that we're holding all of their communities accountable as we look at this restructuring process here for Safe Streets. Thank you so much for joining us here again this Saturday.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, Johns Hopkins University will hold 2 more public safety town halls this week to talk about the new Johns Hopkins Police Department. It's the first town hall on Thursday. Well, that one was forced online because protesters created quite a bit of chaos. Supporters say the new police department is necessary as the police department in Baltimore sees understaffing and crime at the 3 university campuses rising, especially when you're looking at the East Baltimore campus. BPD is skeptical, though. They say its officers would still have to assist in crimes on campus. Fox 45 News questioned Mayor Brandon Scott about whether he'll sign off on the plan or not.
I think that we've seen these protests happen the entire time, and really it's up to Hopkins to understand what their entire community wants and make a decision on whether they want to move forward or not. But what I will say is that when you think about universities around the city, including Coppin and Morgan, they have police forces. We know that University of Baltimore has a police force, UMD. Most colleges do have that.
Johns Hopkins University first tried to create its own police force back in 2020, but that was put on pause because of the protests in the wake of George Floyd's death. JHU is moving forward with that plan for now. There's a hearing on the plan this Thursday at City Hall. We've got major developments in the government's fight to uncover and prosecute pandemic fraud. The DOJ announced a boost in resources to investigate more fraud. National correspondent Arthur Alan Shar spoke to one of the government agency's top watchdogs about the work ahead of them.
When the pandemic hit, it was a government response unlike any in history.
The bill is passed.
More than $5 trillion was spent. Now, another unprecedented response is underway to find out how much of that money was lost to fraud and to try to get it back.
We know our work is not done.
The Department of Justice setting up 3 new fraud strike force teams to bolster their effort, which has already charged more than 1,000 people.
And it does reflect the fact that there are a lot more cases to come.
Inspector General Michael Horowitz leads the Pandemic Response Accountability Committee. He anticipates it may take years. One of the most prominent initiatives was enhanced unemployment benefits. In total, $655 billion went out. $46 billion is estimated to have gone to fraud, a number expected to rise significantly because it's based on estimates from fewer than half the states. Pennsylvania estimates $6 billion went to fraudsters. In Michigan, $8.2 billion, and in California, $18.7 billion. Horowitz points out how the program was crafted. To get the money out quickly, Congress allowed states to let applicants self-certify their claims.
You just signed a statement saying, I'm entitled to this money.
A mountain of cases of unemployment fraud, but there are 450 programs across more than 40 federal agencies investigating their own fraud. One case out of Minnesota this week caught the nation's attention. 47 people charged in a $250 million scheme, allegedly stealing from a program meant to feed children in need.
These 47 defendants engaged in a brazen scheme of staggering proportions.
The government doesn't yet have a total of how much COVID money was fraudulently obtained, but based on reports, it could be well above $100 billion. So far, the DOJ seized about $1.2 billion.
We're going to try and track down every penny we can.
Though some of it may never be recovered. In Washington, I'm Atrell Nashar reporting.
Okay, did you see this light across the sky last night? Okay, we've got an update on what it is. We'll tell you just ahead.
And today, temperatures will be close to average for September 15th. Will be a little bit warmer than average, but a cooler temperature trend is coming thanks to our next weather maker. I'll break down the impacts from that weather maker and how low our temperatures get coming up.
All right, trending now, a few celebrations in Baltimore City, including one for the city's trash wheels.
Mr. Trash Wheel definitely has a bit of a cult following. He's got so many people who want to just create trash wheel inspired artwork. I've seen people wearing trash wheel tattoos, people dress up as him for Halloween. So this festival is all about celebrating those fans.
Maybe I got my Halloween idea. Fans of Mr. Trash Wheel and the whole Trash Wheel family gathered in the Inner Harbor yesterday for a Trash Wheel Fan Fest. The Waterfront Partnership hosted the event after a 3-year hiatus. Fans got all-you-can-eat drink beer from Peabody Heights Brewery, enjoyed a DJ, food, art, and more. All those proceeds from the event go towards the Waterfront Partnership's Healthy Harbor Initiative. It works to restore the Baltimore Harbor. Plus, the first Charm City Live took place at War Memorial Plaza. The one-day festival featured food, fun, and live music from several different performances. Oh, look at that fun. City leaders plan to make this an annual event. A wild chase of suspected financial fraud targets a Rhode Island man. He says someone stole his identity, then bought a car in his name. Turns out he's not the only one.
There's a $41,000 loan out there for a car that included sales tax, registration, and everything with my name on it for a vehicle that I don't own.
A wild case of suspected financial fraud targets a Rhode Island man. Now, he says someone stole his identity. Not enough. They stole his car and rather bought a car in his name. Now, we learned this is not happening to only him. It's happening more often than we think. Tamara Sikarzik with our Sinclair station in Rhode Island reports on how this scheme works.
Yeah, I started getting junk mail like on August 2nd or 3rd. One of them said important policy information. I'm like, it was from Liberty Mutual. I'm like, I don't have Liberty Mutual insurance. I knew something was wrong.
We've agreed to mask Sean's identity because he's anxious over what's happened to him. That insurance company letter, the only indication that his identity was stolen, it was then apparently used to make a $41,000 purchase.
They started the purchase process on a website called carsforsale.com.
The website lets dealerships advertise vehicles for a fee. The dealership can do the entire transaction with the buyer online. They ship the vehicle before they even confirmed your identity.
By the time they had asked for photo identification, the vehicle had already been shipped out of Quonset towards Yonkers, New York.
A shipment that may have been stopped if the photo ID was flagged earlier. Sean showed us his driver's license and the ID used to purchase the car. It had Sean's name and address, but a photo of somebody else entirely. By the time the DMV found the discrepancy, the damage was done.
No one looked at this. You know what I mean? No one asked for the right information until the vehicle was going to be registered, and it was already gone.
But that's not unusual. A local dealership told me, quote, 99% of vehicles that get sold and delivered are not registered when they leave a dealer's lot. Registrations cannot be done until all the paperwork is signed by the customer at delivery and then processed. So the potential for fraud grows as more transactions move online.
It's become rampant.
Cybersecurity expert Nick Tella told me dealership fraud is exploding, especially since the pandemic.
Due to trying to stay competitive, you know, most of these dealers that weren't prepared for this new type of sales moved quickly, and they just bypassed all the technical controls that more traditional online sales providers have in place.
Has this opened almost an entire new market for identity thieves?
Absolutely. I think this is going to continue. It's only going to get worse until the traditional brick and mortar car dealers have that technical infrastructure in place to validate someone's identity.
As for Sean, he's working with state police to secure his identity, but he wants to make sure what happened to him doesn't happen to anyone else.
I think these dealerships need to really look more meticulously at this documentation as it comes in. With people buying things online, it seems like it's way too easy to fraudulently get this done.
Now, we know that 3 Rhode Island men are already facing federal charges for a similar scheme, allegedly using stolen IDs to defraud dealerships in 2 other states. There are steps you can take to try to prevent this from happening to you or get notified the second it does. Look for this story at foxbaltimore.com.
We are preparing for our next weather maker as we head into the afternoon, and that will lead to our next chance for rain and storms, some of which could be strong, even severe. Right now, though, we are starting with dry weather. 57 over Towson with mostly cloudy skies and calm winds. Beautiful in the background as the sun continues to rise. Across the state, we're seeing temperatures in the 50s and 60s. 60 in Bel Air and Annapolis, California at 61, but it's actually Ocean City at 64. That's our high spot on the map right now. As we head into the afternoon, we're looking at above average temperatures, but we're also looking at rain ahead of this cold front. We have a warm front that continues to push north. It actually led to a few showers earlier this morning. We're dry now, but as this cold front continues to move east and pass over our area, we're looking at our next chance for rain and storms. Notice once we get to about midday, we're still dry and cloudy, but you can start to see those areas of green pop onto the map. That's that rain moving in from the west. We are talking the chance for heavy rain around 2-3 o'clock, so make sure that you have plans to be inside around those times. We get a little bit of a break from the rain, but then by 5-6 o'clock, it comes back, and we're still talking that chance for heavy rain along with storms. Once we continue into the night, the rain does start to gradually taper all as this cold front arrives. After midnight, we'll stay nice and dry as we head into Monday morning, and we're looking at a sunny start to the day, really a great way to begin the work week. Meanwhile, we are under a slight risk for strong to severe storms. This encompasses most of the state and parts of our region. This is for the possibility that we could mainly have gusty winds and hail. Those are the 2 primary threats. However, all types of severe weather will be possible. Make sure that you are staying weather alert as we head into the afternoon. We're also keeping watch on Tropical Storm Ian with max sustained winds around 50 miles per hour. We expect this to continue to move toward the west-northwest as we head into the rest of the weekend. Once we get to late tonight, early tomorrow morning, we could be looking at a Category 1 hurricane, and it rapidly intensifies into a major Category 3 hurricane before reaching the tip of western Cuba. Once it enters the Gulf, we could be talking a Category 4 hurricane. So this is an area certainly to monitor as it enters the Gulf. That's where we could have that rapid intensification. But once it does approach the coast, we expect it to enter an environment with drier air and wind shear, and that would inhibit that development, possibly weakening it before it makes landfall. Now, there is still a ton of uncertainty with that track. Once it does develop a clear center, we'll have more clarity on where it could go. As we head into the afternoon today, temperatures reach 80 and we have rain moving in ahead of that cold front. Then once we make our way into the day tomorrow, we're looking at much nicer conditions. Temperatures close to average around 78 with plenty of sunshine. It will be breezy. 74 on Tuesday and sunny. Then as we head into the rest of the week, temperatures will be in the 60s. Our next chance for showers will come on Saturday. We'll be right back.
Welcome into your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. To be the best, you got to beat the best. A big day for Maryland football, opening Big Ten play in the Big House with a chance to knock off number 4 Michigan. And the Terps came to play. Down 10-3 in the first, Maryland driving. Talia Tungavailoa scanning, flushed out of the pocket, rolls to his left, and picks up the first down. Incredibly athletic play to keep the drive alive. He's fired up. Helmet pops off. And that would lead to this. Antoine Littleton comes up big. Terps would take the lead on a field goal, but the Wolverines would answer back. 35 to play in the half, 4th and 1. Blake Corum turns on the burners, and that was just the start of a big day for the former St. Francis Academy star. Wolverines led by 4 at the half. In the 4th, Terps down 11. Tungavailoa out of the game due to minor rib and knee injuries. Billy Edwards Jr. in the game at quarterback connects with C.J. Dupree for the score. 2-point conversion was successful. Onside kick would not be. Terps fall to Michigan. 34-27 the final. This one would go to double OT. Navy would kick the go-ahead 30-yard field goal to take the lead. Pirates would miss theirs. Navy wins its first game of the year, 23-20 the final. Look at the celebration in the locker room. That's awesome stuff. Towson taking on New Hampshire to open CAA play. Tigers down 10-0 here. That's when Max Brosmer connects with Joey Corcoran for the 20-yard score. Towson trailed 17-0 at the half. Tigers would score twice in the second half. Tyrell Pigram finding Robert Schwab, then Devin Matthews found pay dirt from 2 yards out. But Towson would fall in the conference opener, 37-14 the final score. Here's a look at some other local college football scores. Bowie State snaps its 2-game losing streak with a 36-20 win over St. Augustine's. McDaniel falls to Muhlenberg 41-7 to drop to 1-3 on the year. And the Stevenson Mustangs improved to 4-0. With a big-time road win over Widener. They're back in action next week at home against Delaware Valley. According to Adam Schefter of ESPN, J.K. Dobbins will make his 2022 debut today against the Pats. Dobbins was listed as questionable on Friday's injury report, but a source tells Schefter that Dobbins will indeed take the field in Sunday's game. That would be huge for a Ravens team that has struggled in the run game the first 2 weeks of the season. The Ravens have also made some other moves. They've elevated wide receiver Raleigh Webb and linebacker Brandon Copeland from the practice squad. Webb was an undrafted free agent, or rookie free agent, from the Citadel. Copeland, the former Gilman standout, is in his second stint with the Ravens. Check out this footage back from 2013 when he was with the team in his first stint. You can catch all the action from Foxborough today at 1 p.m. on Fox 45. Later tonight, we'll have a recap, highlights, and post-game reaction from the Ravens' Week 3 matchup with the Patriots, 10:35 on Sports Unlimited. That's your morning sports report. I'm Rocco DeSangro. Have a great Ravens Sunday.
Breaking overnight, chaos on the block after someone is shot during bar close. Our newsroom just getting new details. And we're tracking the tropics as a major storm with the potential of flooding barrels towards Florida. But before that, you'll need your umbrellas here today because the next weather maker is arriving. Jasmine Lomax standing by with your full forecast. And did you see this last night? This star crossed our region, crossing the sky. Folks saying they saw it, but we'll tell you what it is. And the Ravens are in New England as they hope to bounce back from a Week 2 collapse. The last-minute changes ahead of this afternoon's game.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning, I'm Taylor Stewart, but we want to jump right into that breaking news from overnight. Chaos on the block after someone was shot. Now, the shooting happening just steps away from the police department. You're looking at video from citizens. The shooting happened just as bars were closing. Baltimore police say this happened moments ago. They just confirmed a 27-year-old man was shot. He was hit in the leg and is expected to survive, according to police. They also say 2 men, both in their 60s, were arrested at the scene. Also breaking overnight, Baltimore County Police warning the public to be on the lookout for Ryan Whitaker, the man you see here on your screen. The 46-year-old is out, and police say they're concerned with his well-being. They say he may be armed with a handgun, but they didn't provide any additional details as to why they're looking for him. Rayner was last seen yesterday around noon in the Pikesville area. They're asking folks to be on the lookout for a white Lexus. Now, that license plate you see on your screen, that is the license plate they're looking for. But if you see him or see this car, do not approach. Police say he may have a handgun. Instead, call 911. We're tracking the tropics this morning. Take a look at your screen here on the left. Hurricane Fiona continues to just leave destruction and flooding in its path, this time to Canada. Right now, tens of thousands of people in Puerto Rico are still without electricity. And there you see it on your right screen, a state of emergency declared in Florida as the Sunshine State braces for its first major storm of the season. Right now, we're keeping an eye on Ian and its possible impact there and in our region. But first, we're preparing for the arriving of the next weather maker here. You're looking at live conditions in Ocean City, Towson, and you can see that sunrise over there in Baltimore. Now, if you have any plans this afternoon, you might need to keep your umbrellas close by. Meteorologist Jasmine Lolex with this early morning forecast. Jasmine, it's nice this morning, but we'll have to dodge some rain later today.
Yeah, Taylor, it's very nice this morning. Temperatures starting off in the upper 50s, so not as cool as it was over the past 2 mornings. We've got clouds, but we're dry. That's all going to change as we head into the afternoon ahead of a cold front. Current temperatures sit at 58 over Baltimore with mostly cloudy skies. Winds are out of the south-southeast around 3 miles per hour, so very quiet. Across the rest of the state, we're seeing those numbers in the 50s and 60s. They're slowly starting to rise. We're actually heading to the 80s by the afternoon, and that's above average. We've got this warm front moving over parts of our region that led to a few showers early this morning, but it's the cold front that we're watching. That will lead to our next chance for rain and possibly storms. Some of those storms could be strong, even severe, and we are under a slight risk. That's threat level 2 of 5 for strong to severe storms. Make sure that you are staying weather alert as we head into the afternoon. Coming up in my full forecast, I'll break down the timing of the rain and storms and the impacts that we could see. Back to you.
And make sure to keep our Weather Authority app close to you today. You can use our powerful Doppler radar to see when rain or severe weather is moving into your exact location. It's free to get from your smartphone. Just go to our app store and search WBFF to get started. Mayor Brandon Scott fielding several concerns this week as Safe Streets continues to shift hands and a dead rat found inside a health clinic left there for more than a year. This morning, Richard Batts, a rhetoric professor with Towson University, joins us this morning. Good morning, Richard.
How are you?
I'm doing lovely. But we want to jump right into this week and what we've seen on how the mayor's handled several issues. What is your take from, let's start first with the clinic and how that rat and inspection issues have lingered for years. What is your take on that?
Well, it has lingered for years. And when people talk about a bad week for the mayor, I mean, mayor, every week is a bad week for the mayor. I mean, we've had E. coli problem. We've had the Safe Streets reorganization problem. We've had the health problems. We've had the rats. We always have a long list of problems. The difficulty is that this mayor really doesn't approach problems substantively. I think, I teach political communication. And I want to tell your audience what words to look for when principals talk about these things. When they talk about such things as the root causes, when they talk about holistic problems, when they say the problems are evolving, these are all ways to avoid the issues. And what has to be done is they have to be pressed to get onto the issues. And by the way, on root causes, you often hear people just automatically say, yes, we've got to get to root causes, but they never get to root causes. The root causes for almost all problems in Baltimore, not all of them, but almost all of them, is the lack of single-parent families. And so until the governing structure in Baltimore starts addressing this, where you have 80% of families that are single-parent families, until you have them encouraging 2-parent families, you're going to have these continual problems of poverty, of violence, of school difficulties. All of these problems are permanent. So we can have the same discussions every week.
Absolutely. I mean, when you look at concentrated poverty, you look at, like you said, single-parent households, we know that those create cyclical problems of poverty in situations where we see crime. I think that the question really becomes, though, are we handling it the right way? And I think people really want to know what is being done. And so, as a rhetoric professor, I know you deal with communication. What would you advise, I guess, the mayor or people on his team to do in terms of communicating how they're addressing these really pivotal problems in our city?
First of all, they never mention the problems of family, which is the main issue. And so the first problem is they have to recognize that and deal with it. The second is you have to take some steps to disincentivize single-parent families. You have to stop giving more and more money to families the more children they have, especially when they're single-parent families and they can't afford it. This creates permanent poverty, which you have throughout the city.
And
so,
go ahead.
Yes.
I'm curious, though, when you say give more money to, are you speaking with respect to the Kerwin Commission and seeing that more money come into schools, more money per pupil? Is that exactly what you're referencing? I just want to be clear.
No, I'm talking about giving families, single-parent families, more money every child they have. And it's only a couple $1,000s a year, but that means a lot to them. And they think, wow, maybe I'll have more children. And so this needs to be disincentivized. And so you cannot continue, and it's never talked about, the problem of single parents, even though, as I say, we've gone from 25% decades ago to 80% now. Can you imagine how in the world can you run a family with a single parent with all the problems? How can you ensure that they get good schooling? How can you encourage good teachers? None of this is done, and it's all because this problem is virtually ignored, and I don't understand why. And so you have to stigmatize this. You cannot talk about single-parent families as if it's the norm. It's the norm, yeah, but that doesn't mean it should be the norm. Violence is the norm, and that doesn't mean it should be the norm. So we've got to recognize what the problems are. We've got to confront them and deal with them head on.
And final question here as we wrap up, because I want to bring this back to how our city leadership can help address these problems, because I think that is obviously a long-winded generational issue we do want to dive into. But I'm curious, though, at this leadership level, as we're seeing movement happen with Safe Streets, as we're seeing, us pressing the mayor for issues at the health clinic, us learning more about the nurse situation, what would you say needs to be the #1 primary concern of the leadership, especially when you think about how Mayor Scott is handling it? The number one.
The city council has begun to come alive. Now, this has only been true in the last bunch of months, because it used to be that they would be quiet no matter what sort of dereliction of duty the mayor did. But I think for Nick Mosby not to learn about these Safe Street changes and not to be notified is just outrageous. How can you leave out the city council from these matters? So the communication has to be more serious, and you've got to be more consistent, and you can't get angry at reporters who ask you about these questions. Reporters are asking serious, significant, material questions. And what does the mayor do? The mayor gets irritated at these questions. Don't get irritated at the questions, address them substantively. That would be the first step, I would say.
Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. Vaz. We appreciate your insight, and we will continue to stay on this on our end as well. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, did you see this light cross the sky last night? Okay, we know what it is, not a UFO. We'll break it all down for you just ahead. And your tax dollars paying for city school nurses who aren't being hired. Fox 45 News Project Baltimore questions where that money is actually going.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Okay, did you see a light in the sky? Now, if you looked up last night into the sky and saw a mysterious light kind of going through, looked like it was flying like a UFO, you weren't alone. Social media erupted with pictures and videos of lights barreling through the night sky. It was seen on all across our region, and we know the reason it wasn't a UFO, guys. It was a rocket launch. The light was from a rocket launch from SpaceX. They say their Falcon 9 rocket with 52 Starlink satellites was launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force in Florida. That happened around 7:30 last night. Thankfully, we had some clear skies, which made for a great view across the region and along the East Coast. Let's take a look at some of the posts we're seeing on social media. One viewer, Peter, saying spectacular sunset colors with the SpaceX Starlink rocket launch this evening. And you can see he captured what an awesome picture he got there. And another one coming in from Virginia, guys. But in Maryland, we had a little darker view. It was a little bit cloudier. But here, SpaceX launch seen from Maryland. Still looking amazing. And another guy chiming in here saying he saw the video earlier, too. Thought it was just a plane, but knew it was something different. We're happy to tell you SpaceX says they are claiming this rocket launch. Now, if you captured it moving above our region, we want to see it. Send it to us. Go to our website, foxbaltimore.com/chime-in. We'll be sharing those videos online. Ooh, can you feel it? After last weekend's home opener that didn't go so well for the Ravens, we're cheering for this team as they take on the New England Patriots. This afternoon, you can watch all of it right here on Fox 45. But heading into the game, we know All-Pro left tackle Ronnie Stanley did not make the trip to Massachusetts. That's because Stanley, who's coming off an ankle injury, has been downgraded to out and will not play. The 28-year-old former first-round pick practiced Wednesday and Thursday in limited fashion, but he didn't participate on Friday. That means Patrick McCarry will likely start the left tackle for the second straight week. The Ravens have elevated wide receiver Raleigh Webb and linebacker Braden Copeland from the practice squad. Webb was an undrafted rookie from the Citadel. Copeland, the former Gilman standout, is in his second stint with the Ravens. This is video from back in 2013. Of course, you can watch all of the action this afternoon from Foxborough at 1 o'clock. Right here on Fox 45. Rocco DeScondro will have more coming up later this morning on all you can expect from today's game. Okay, be sure to grab your umbrellas, though. We are tracking the next weather maker bringing rain to our region. Yeah, today. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax is tracking the timing. You're watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Project Baltimore is sponsored by the Snyder Law Group. Call 410 the Firm.
Another problem forming in Baltimore City schools as tens of millions of taxpayer dollars are going to North Avenue to provide full-time healthcare practitioners at all high-poverty schools. Well, City Schools is keeping an eye on that money, but as Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, it appears the healthcare coverage is not being provided.
Glenn Carmen has been a licensed registered nurse his entire adult life, 42 years. And now, for the first time, he's scared about student safety.
Do you feel it's just a matter of time before something bad happens?
Absolutely.
Carmen works for the Baltimore City Health Department, which supplies nurses for Baltimore City Public Schools. For the past 5 years, Carmen, like most nurses, has cared for students at one school. But this year, he's been assigned to 3 schools. Each day, he rotates between 2 on East 43rd Street and 1 on West 36th Street, which is 15 minutes away.
This is the first time I'm uncomfortable. You know, if I'm at one side of town and I have to get to the other side of town, it's going to take me 15 minutes. A lot changes within 15 minutes in an emergency. It could be the matter of life and death, just that time.
Project Baltimore has obtained the schedules for 12 other nurses. Each one is assigned to 3 schools. Most are high poverty. And Carmen says this is not just about student safety.
Right.
It's about state law.
You believe the law is being broken?
I know the law is being broken.
The Blueprint for Maryland's Future, also known as the Kerwin Plan, was passed by Maryland's legislature in 2021. Under Kerwin, schools with high concentrations of poverty shall provide full-time coverage by at least one professional healthcare practitioner who is a licensed physician, a licensed physician's assistant, or a licensed registered nurse. Baltimore City has 121 high-poverty schools. According to the City Health Department, 89 of them are staffed with a certified nursing assistant, not a professional healthcare practitioner, as defined under Kerwin. City Schools told us a national nursing shortage has made this challenging. To provide the coverage required by Kerwin, registered nurses, like Carmen, are rotating between schools.
Emergencies are being covered by the nursing assistant, but they're not being trained for those adequately.
City schools this year received $32 million from the Kerwin Plan's Concentration of Poverty Grant to ensure schools have licensed healthcare providers. The Maryland State Department of Education told FOX45, Kerwin does not require schools to hire a licensed healthcare provider, meaning they don't have to have one on staff, but someone must be available to provide full-time coverage at every school. The district took the money, but 89 schools do not have a licensed registered nurse at all times. So is this a violation of the Kerwin Plan? To find out, we asked Britt Kerwin.
In this country, low-income people don't have access to health care that more affluent families do have.
Kerwin told FOX45 the licensed nurse provision in the law is essential to learning.
We thought that by ensuring that there was highly qualified health care deliverers in each school, we could mitigate the disadvantage that low-income kids have.
Project Baltimore contacted the 5 school systems that surround Baltimore City. Each one reports having a licensed nurse assigned to each high-poverty school. The question then becomes, does a registered nurse who splits time between several city schools equal full-time coverage? The law is not clear. But if City Schools is not meeting the health provider expectations, Kerwin says a district will have to produce a compelling reason why, or the state could withhold funding.
It's concerning because we We deem that as a very important aspect of these concentration of poverty grants. I have to take on faith that they are doing everything they can to get qualified health care providers in each school.
They're accepting the money. They're not providing the service. I'll be honest to you, the law is the law. You're correct. But until you're caught, until you're punished, it doesn't stop you from doing it.
So Baltimore City Schools received $32 million to hire licensed healthcare providers at high-poverty schools. If they didn't use the money to hire nurses, then where did the money go? Well, city schools told us they used the excess funds to meet other student needs, but that may also be a violation of Kerwin. According to the law, the school system cannot spend the extra funds until a full-time licensed healthcare provider is at every high-poverty school. But again, the law does not define what full-time means. Now, coming up on Monday, Project Baltimore will have more with our interview with Britt Kerwin. We ask him about the teacher shortages, the effects of COVID, and what would have to happen for the Kerwin plan to be considered a success. That story, Monday at 10. I'm Chris Pabst, and this is Project Baltimore.
We are getting ready for the next weather maker, a cold front that will lead to the chance for rain and storms, some of which could be strong. But we're off to a nice and dry start this morning. 58 over Baltimore with mostly cloudy skies and winds out of the south-southeast around 3 miles per hour. Temperatures across the state are now starting to get a little bit warmer. We're seeing the 50s and the 60s, 61 in Bel Air and Westminster. We've got 63 in California. And then toward Ocean City, we're actually looking at the mid-60s with plenty of sunshine. That's our high spot right now and really a great start over there. We've got a warm front that's continuing to lift north. That led to a few showers very early this morning, but again, we're dry right now. It's this cold front that we're watching. That will lead to our next chance for showers and storms as it continues to move east toward our area heading into the afternoon and evening. Once we get to about 12 p.m., we're still looking at dry conditions with the chance for a few isolated showers starting to move in from the west. Then once we get to about 2, 3 o'clock, that's when we have a better chance for rain and storms across parts of our state. There could be areas of heavy rain and some of the storms could be strong, even severe. This model, the HRRR, does keep us dry briefly around 4 or 5 o'clock, but then by 6 p.m., we've got another round of showers and storms on the way. So if you have plans to be outside, if you have any errands that you need to run, you will want to do those before midday. After that, we've got the rain and storms. Once we get to about midnight, that cold front continues to cross over the state, and we're looking at mostly dry conditions as we head into Monday. We'll start with plenty of sunshine heading into the morning, really a great way to start the work week. Meanwhile, we are under a slight risk for strong to severe storms as that cold front passes. That's threat level 2 of 5. Now, the primary impacts are gusty winds and hail. However, all types of severe weather are possible, so make sure that you are staying weather alert. We're keeping watch on Tropical Storm Ian. It has max sustained winds of 50 miles per hour, but we expect this to undergo rapid intensification, strengthening into a Category 1 hurricane late tonight or early tomorrow morning. That system continues to move toward the north-northwest, eventually clipping Cuba, possibly as a Category 3 hurricane heading into Monday. Then once the system enters the Gulf, it could further intensify into a Category 4 hurricane with max sustained winds around 140 miles per hour. But approaching the coast, it will start to weaken, possibly to a Category 1 or 2 hurricane before making landfall, likely in Florida. So that's an area that we'll continue to monitor. That would likely happen toward the end of the work week. After that, it's still too early to say where that system goes and the impacts that it could have for our region. 80 for the high temperature today, 78 tomorrow with lots of sunshine. It will be breezy. Then we're dry and sunny on Tuesday, 74. After that, our temperatures stay in the upper 60s and low 70s heading into the weekend. Saturday will be the next chance for showers. Back to you.
Look, this is a wild case of financial fraud. It targeted one Rhode Island man, but we're learning he is not alone. That person stole his identity and took his card and bought a car. We'll break it down for you coming up. But first, how the Bel Air community is remembering one of its own. You're watching Fox 45 all morning, all local. The Bel Air community is remembering one of its own. Tom Paff spent 41 years working as a mail carrier in Bel Air, and it's obvious he touched so many hearts there and lives. He recently passed away, and at that time you can see that trail of mail trucks just going down his street to honor his life and legacy.
I think everybody has a story with Tom. Just had a lot of impact on people.
He just brings a lot of joy to a lot of people. His customers love him so much on his route.
I mean, he really went out of his way for his customers. He was always there for them, picking up things at the grocery store for them, whatever they would need. And, you know, you never got to complain about him.
He was awesome. Always had a smile or a joke or something. You know, it was just like, hey, every morning come in the dock, hey, Robbo, what's going on? You know, he's just excited all the time.
Decades of above and beyond service by Tom Paff. Hartford County Police blocked that intersection where the mail trucks passed so they could all get through together. Lots of pictures and hugs there. The Federal Reserve raises interest rates once again. Coming up, a financial expert joins us live with the toll this could have on your wallet and how to prepare. And of course, we're tracking your rain this Sunday. Meteorologist Jasmine Lomax has the timing. You are watching Fox 45 Morning News, all local, all morning.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 Morning News.
Good morning and thanks for being here on this Saturday. Look at that view there of Baltimore and those skies. But we're expecting some rain just ahead. It's September 25th. I'm Taylor Stewart, and we are tracking some weather makers in our region. But we want to get to our forecast with Jasmine Lomax. Jasmine, it looks pretty nice outside so far.
Yeah, that's right, Taylor. It's a little bit misleading. We're nice and dry right now. It's pretty comfortable, but we have rain heading our way. And actually, we started the morning with a few showers, but now we're dry. 58 for the current temperature and mostly cloudy over Baltimore. Winds are out of the south-southeast around 3 miles per hour, so we're off to a very quiet start. Across the state, we're seeing those numbers in the 50s and the 60s. Ocean City is the warm spot in the mid-60s. There's plenty of sunshine there, so really a great day to be at the beach. For the rest of us, though, we are looking at that next chance for rain. We had those showers early this morning, and that was ahead of a warm front. That warm front will continue to lift north, but as that happens, this cold front is going to slide to the east across the state, leading to rain and storms. I'll break down the timing and the impacts that we could see coming up in my Weather Authority forecast. Back to you.
Breaking news overnight, chaos breaking out on the block after someone was shot. The shooting happening just steps away from police headquarters. You are looking at video from people in the area there last night. It happened as bars were closing around 2 a.m. This morning, police confirming a 27-year-old man was shot. He was hit in the leg but is expected to survive. Police say 2 men, both 26 years of age, were arrested at the scene. The Federal Reserve announced it's raising interest rates once again by 7.5%. This is the third straight time. Now, financial professor Fred Kreutz with Kreutz Financial is here to help us look at this increase and how it could impact your family. Good morning.
Good morning, Taylor. How are you today?
I'm doing great, but look, we've had a lot of interest rate hikes this year, and I'm trying to figure out here, where are we going? What is the goal by the Fed?
Well, they're trying to slow down this thing called inflation. We're at a 41-year high with inflation.
Yep.
So we've actually had 5 rate increases already this year in 2022. 3, as you mentioned, we're at 0.75. So they're doing everything they can to try to hedge off this inflation. But we're seeing inflation on a daily basis, whether it be your food prices, whether it be the price of, going out to buy a car today. Everywhere we're seeing inflation, which means our dollar as consumers is shrinking right in front of us.
It absolutely is. I mean, it's not hard to look in the grocery store and wonder, wait, I paid $5 for that. It's $10 now. But I want to just get into how people can prepare, I guess, for these rising interest rates. Is it going to slow down anytime soon?
Well, it doesn't look like it. They have 2 more federal meetings this year, and we are so behind with this inflation. We're at 8.3% inflation this year, and that's not even counting what we had last year. So the Fed believes, and again, whether or not we agree with it or not, they believe that by raising interest rates, they're going to hedge this off. Now, who this is hurting? This is hurting people who want to buy a house today. You talk about a year ago today, your interest rates were at 3%. We're now over top of 6% today. So just to put it into perspective, somebody who bought a $500,000 house last year, their payments were $2,431. Today, you're buying for the same $2,431 in payments, you're getting a $350,000 house. So you're going to start seeing the housing market really feel pressure, and we're already starting seeing things where they're starting to tick a little bit lower now, house prices.
Absolutely. We have seen that cool down already begin. But for folks who want to buy a home, what advice would you give to them for right now as we see this inflation continue to just...
Well, you got to be cautious, and the scary thing is, Taylor, is rent has gone up substantially. Some places we're seeing rent has been going up 25% over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. So we don't like rent. Of course, we hope that if you do buy the house that you want, that maybe in a year or two, maybe we can hopefully refinance that house at a lower interest rate. So if you're in a position, but what we got to be careful of is debt that we have created. We're coming up into the Christmas season, and when you see these rates increasing, where does that affect? That hits your credit cards, that hits variable mortgage rates. All these things are where people really could get themselves in bad trouble. Mm-hmm. And the credit cards is number one, that if you have that out there, we tell our clients, you have to attack those credit cards, because that's going to bury you financially. Because if those rates go up, we're talking about mortgage rates. Imagine on credit cards, they continue to ticker up, and you got a load on credit cards, you're in trouble.
And Fred, I think that some of us at least are still acting like this is business as usual, but we really need to be on the defense, I think, when we think about our wallets. What can people do to prepare? I mean, put some money aside? Should we be spending less on credit cards? How should we really be looking at this issue as it seems to continue to loom on?
Great question, Taylor. We always preach about having a budget. You got to know what's coming in, what's going out. Obviously, what's going out today is more money than we did 2 years ago. We have less money in our pockets. So if our income hasn't changed and all the costs around us has gone up, that's put a real stretch to our dollar. You still want to be trying to contribute to your 401ks. I know our market's getting hammered. The S&P's down over 20%, the NASDAQ's down 30%. But if you're a young person, this is a great buy-in opportunity because you're buying things on sale. Who it hurts is that senior who is getting ready for retirement, and they look at their portfolio, they're 20% down. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of clients are saying, Fred, I'm going to work 2 more years now just to hopefully recoup what I've lost. So people that were getting ready to retire, they financially can't retire right now.
Yeah, absolutely a conversation I've heard myself amongst family members, relatives. Thank you so much, Fred Kreutz, for joining us. Fred Kreutz Financial there, and we will continue to update you on the latest with inflation. Thank you for all that insight.
You're welcome.
New this morning, 2 U.S. military veterans who dropped from site 3 months ago while fighting against Russia with Ukraine forces. They're finally back home. Russian-backed separatists released the Alabama residents as part of the prisoner exchange. Two Americans went missing in the region near Russia's border back in June. This happened over the 9th as they traveled to Ukraine on their own and bonded over their shared home state. Just look at that touching hug. They are ecstatic to be back home and around their families once again.
Surreal. I still have chill bumps. I always imagined this day. I always held not just hope, but belief in this day. But I thought it was going to be 2 or 3 years from now at best. There are prisoners of war who have been held for months, years. There are people who have been detained wrongfully for years. And for this to come about in 3 months is just unimaginable to me.
Interestingly enough, Saudi Arabia brokered the exchange that granted the release. We're not done talking about this light that went through the sky last night. We've got exactly what it is for you coming up after the break.
And we're looking at a warm day with high temperatures reaching the upper 70s and the low 80s. But we're also looking at the next chance for rain. I'll break down the timing and the impacts that we could see coming up in my full forecast.
Did you see a moving light in the sky? Now, if you looked up last night, you probably saw this mysterious light that's jutting across your screen right now. Social media erupted with pictures and videos of the light barreling through that dark night sky. It was seen all across our region and throughout the East Coast. And we know it was not a UFO. The light was from a rocket launch. SpaceX says a Falcon 9 rocket with 52 Starlink satellites was launched from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida last night around 7:30. Great clear skies there provided a great view for many people in the region. And you can see people were taking a look and snapping their pictures and, of course, sending them to us at FOX45. But let's jump right into today's Steals and Deals.
The following segment is sponsored by Knocking.
Guys, what is the one thing that we all hate doing on a hot day? Getting into the car. Not only is it uncomfortable, it can actually be dangerous. And during a hot day, the temperature in your car can actually reach up to 190 degrees. What I didn't know is that toxins are released into the air when your car gets hot. I did not know this. No one should be breathing in that air. And when it's hot, everyone's running quickly into the car without thinking. Your pets hop right in and they can easily all get burned. This is the solution to that problem. It is called the Brella Shade by Sharper Image, a brand we all know and we all love. And here's how easy it is to work this thing. You basically unvelcro it, put it into your dash, and open it just like an umbrella, and it fits most windows. No more standing in the parking lot waiting for your car to cool off or turning on the AC and then bringing all your windows down. You know you've done it. We've all done it. Brella Shade is really compact. Just folds right up, again, just like an umbrella. It fits in your glove box. It keeps your car cool. What it also does that you may not think about is it protects your interior from sun damage. We are offering 25% off today, and it comes in a 2-pack. So you're getting 2 for the price of 1 at 25% off. So you keep one for yourself, give another to a friend, or give it to your spouse. Take advantage of this deal. Go to asadeals.com.
We're following a wild case of suspected fraud. It targeted a Rhode Island man who says someone stole his identity and then bought a car in his name. It turns out he is not the only one.
There's a $41,000 loan out there for a car that included sales tax, registration, everything with my name on it for a vehicle that I don't own.
A wild case of suspected fraud targets a Rhode Island man, but he says someone not only stole his identity, but they bought a car in his name. Cases like this are happening more often than we even know. Tamara Sarzik with our Sinclair station in Rhode Island reports on how this scheme works.
Yeah, I started getting junk mail like on August 2nd or 3rd. One of them said important policy information. I'm like, it was from Liberty Mutual. I'm like, I don't have Liberty Mutual insurance. I knew something was wrong.
We've agreed to mask Sean's identity because he's anxious over what's happened to him. That insurance company letter, the only indication that his identity was stolen, it was then apparently used to make a $41,000 purchase.
They started the purchase process on a website called carsforsale.com.
The website lets dealerships advertise vehicles for a fee. The dealership can do the entire transaction with the buyer online. They ship the vehicle before they even confirmed your identity.
By the time they had asked for photo identification, the vehicle had already been shipped out of Quonset towards Yonkers, New York.
A shipment that may have been stopped if the photo ID was flagged earlier. Sean showed us his driver's license and the ID used to purchase the car. It had Sean's name and address, but a photo of somebody else entirely. By the time the DMV found the discrepancy, the damage was done.
No one looked at this You know what I mean? No one asked for the right information until the vehicle was going to be registered, and it was already gone.
But that's not unusual. A local dealership told me, quote, 99% of vehicles that get sold and delivered are not registered when they leave a dealer's lot. Registrations cannot be done until all the paperwork is signed by the customer at delivery and then processed. So the potential for fraud grows as more transactions move online.
It's become rampant.
Cybersecurity expert Nick Tella told me dealership fraud is exploding, especially since the pandemic.
Due to trying to stay competitive, most of these dealers that weren't prepared for this new type of sales moved quickly, and they just bypassed all the technical controls that more traditional online sales providers have in place.
Has this opened almost an entire new market for identity thieves?
Absolutely. I think this is going to continue. It's only going to get worse until the traditional brick and mortar car dealers have that technical infrastructure in place to validate someone's identity.
As for Sean, he's working with state police to secure his identity, but he wants to make sure what happened to him doesn't happen to anyone else.
I think these dealerships need to really look more meticulously at this documentation as it comes in. With people buying things online, it seems like it's way too easy to fraudulently get this done.
Now, there are steps you can take to try to prevent this from happening to you or get notified the second it does. Just look for this story at foxbaltimore.com.
We are getting ready for the next weather maker to move across parts of our state, but we're off to a pretty nice start to the day this morning. We've got mostly cloudy skies here in Baltimore, and temperatures around 58. Some of the surrounding areas in the 60s. Westminster and Bel Air, both some of the warmest spots. Annapolis, too. California, Maryland in the mid-60s. We've also got mid-60s over in Ocean City. That's the high spot on the map at 66 with sunshine. But we are tracking our next weather maker. We've got this warm front continuing to lift north. That led to a few showers overnight, but the cold front will lead to rain and storms as we head into the afternoon. This will continue to move to the east. We are talking dry conditions still around noon. However, you can start to see a few areas of green as that rain moves in from the west. Once we get to about 2-3 o'clock, we are talking rain. Some of it could be heavy at times. There could be storms, and those storms could be strong, even severe. Once we get to about 5 p.m., this model, the HRRR, actually has a brief dry period, but that quickly ends as the rain and the storms return by about 6 p.m. This continues off and on, and once we get to about midnight, we'll stay mostly dry. That cold front will help to push some of the rain away from the state. We'll wake up to plenty of sunshine and nice and clear conditions as we head into Monday morning. Temperatures will still be warm, but following that front, we are looking at a cool down during the work week. We are under a slight risk for strong to severe storms. That's threat level 2 of 5. The primary impacts will be damaging wind gusts along with hail. However, all types of severe weather will be possible. Make sure that you're staying weather alert and make sure you have multiple ways of receiving alerts in case any are issued. Meanwhile, Tropical Storm Ian continues to move in the Caribbean with max sustained winds of 50 miles per hour. We could be looking at a Category 1 hurricane late tonight or very early tomorrow morning. Then it continues to rapidly intensify as it approaches Cuba, possibly hitting the coast as a Category 3 hurricane. Once it enters the Gulf, we're looking at a Cat 4 hurricane potentially before it weakens as it approaches the Florida coastline. There's still a lot of uncertainty on where that system goes, but we will continue to provide you with updates. Coming up, I'll have a look at the exclusive 10-day forecast, and I'll also let you know when we finally dry out. We'll be right back. It is a very nice morning. You're taking a look over M&T Bank Stadium. The Ravens will be in Foxborough, but you can catch the game right here at 1 p.m. We are talking rain coming in. It's a false picture outside right now. We've got nice and dry conditions, but the rain comes in the afternoon. Temperatures will be around 80, 70s tomorrow with lots of sunshine, and we keep the dry weather until we head into the weekend. That's when we have the next chance for rain.
Well, this is not a bad day to just kick it at home with a beer and ale and watch the game from your couch.
Exactly.
Right?
Who doesn't love a rainy day?
Exactly. So we will have absolutely air that game here at 1 o'clock on Fox 45. Thank you for joining us this morning. Have a lovely Sunday.